record now. There we go. So I am now recording. If you don't feel comfortable with being on camera, please feel free to turn your camera off or blur your background, as I mentioned. So today we have a wonderful hot seat interview. And what I'm going to do is I am going to spotlight both myself and the wonderful person that we are going to talk to. Here we go. So our first interview this morning, our first hot seat interview in the lab is with Vicki Sutherland. And let me introduce Vicki. Many of you know her, but you may not know everything that she juggles and what she does during the day. So Vicki is an artist. She takes art classes and she sells her collections online. She's also a published author of an education publication it's a document style guide. She has a family and often looks after her grandchildren, combining all of this with a chronic illness and a really busy life. Vicki needed to add some structure into her day so she could manage all of these tasks, as well as documenting her meals and medication. So Vicki, welcome. I'm delighted to have you here. And I'm so delighted to hear about your planner journey, because I know that this has been a journey for you. So I'm really keen. So before you got your planner, what were you juggling on the daily? Share with us.
Well, it was a real struggle, I have to say, and I'm so thrilled to be here with you, Ali, and everyone. Thanks so much for having me. I was really scrambling around, really struggling to try and keep track of everything. I had a big, long to-do list. I'm addicted to lists. I love lists. I literally had books of lists, but I would find that trying to maintain my health, my house, my life, just day-to-day things were just getting away from me.
Yeah. And I remember you talking about your to-do list and almost the overwhelm of the to-do list. Like, it seemed great putting it on a to-do list, but when the list gets longer, it kind of becomes a little bit counterproductive. So when you don't have structure in your day, what happens? Like, did you find you were missing out on things that you had committed to going to or signed up for? Share a little bit about, when you don't plan and the structure of your day.
Well, even when I was planning or thought I was trying to plan, things were going really wrong very quickly. And I found that I was trying to use my phone, I was trying to use my list, and I would literally be like, things would just slide right off and I would forget them. And what ended up happening was I felt like I was constantly just putting out fires that I was responsible for, because I was the one that had missed it. And so as a consequence, my anxiety went up, my confidence went down, and I was really struggling. I do have brain fog, so I can only blame that for so long. And it was like things were just out of control. And so I knew I needed help. And I mean, my background is in organizing, information and that, and it's not like I didn't have resources out there. I just didn't know what to do, and I was really struggling.
So for those of you that aren't aware, Vicki was a librarian. So Vicki is a retired librarian, and I love the way her mind works. Like, we actually get each other on so many levels. So then by documenting your day and managing your time better, how has this liberated you? Like, how are you feeling?
Things have really changed a lot. The biggest thing is that it's given me a sense of control over my life and over the choices that I'm making and the decisions that I do have to make. But it's giving me the chance to relieve the pressure of remembering everything. That was the greatest gift. Even when the planners weren't working so well, I knew I was on track for something better, and it allowed me to understand and appreciate the decision fatigue that I was struggling with, and be able to work within my limitations to find something that would work. And now the biggest thing is I feel like I can be here for me. And that's really been a huge change in my life, really big.
Yeah, that's so good. Vicki, I'm going to ask you a question without notice, because I'm interested. So you've got everything on your planner and you're scheduling now. what happens if something goes wrong or you wake up and you don't feel so great? What do you
Well,
do? Like
that's the advantage of having the
Yeah.
planner, is it's not just gone.
Yeah.
And before it would just been like, well, throw it up in the air. It's
Yeah.
like, you know, if you're trying to, you know, be really good with eating properly and super healthy, and the only option is something that's not what you had planned. And you say, oh, well, am I going to throw my hands up in the air? Am I going to just take this and be able to pivot? And I know we're all sort of learning how to do that, have been, you know, struggling with that for the last few years. But what I found was that instead of things sliding off, I could just readjust them. There were opportunities for me to shift them.
Yeah.
And it was never a throw out the baby and the bathwater. It was like, let's make this work. So I can even show you, these are the couple of the journals that I had used, or the planners that we had talked about that I wanted to just try. And one was just an annual planner. And in it, there were like, it was like a weekly planner. So everything was all done in a week. And I just found that I just did not have the space that I needed. And this one was one that I bought at Staples, and I had to put in, you know, the date and try to, you know, set it up. And these little things, the pages would fall out, and it was just it was just driving me crazy. But I knew that I was onto something. I knew that it was just a matter of tweaking what would work for me.
Yeah.
And that was a great opportunity for me to learn about what my needs were, and to do a real needs assessment on what I like and how I could make it happen.
Yeah. And so where did you land? What are the planners that you use now? And tell us about how you use it.
Sure. So this is the planner that I'm using now. I love this color. I bought it actually on Amazon in the States, because the difference was $20 US in the States, or $80 Canadian. So even with the exchange rate was insane. So the reason I like this is because it has a lot of space. Oh, this is the page that it offers, and it's already printed up. I have to fill in the date, but it gives me the day across the week. And then I have critical tasks, other tasks. And what I love about it is at the end of the day, it asks me what were today's wins and what was today's progress. So even if I haven't been able to do everything on my list, I can still migrate it. And even at the bottom, there's a thing asking you, have you migrated? What tasks need to be moved forward?
I love that. So even if you don't get all of them done, you know that you still have a sense of achievement. You've actually done something. And
there's a score there for your productivity. So I never put a number on it. I usually do an arrow saying like fabulous, because it works for me.
Yeah.
What I learned from my other two attempts was I need space. I like to write. Writing is something that feels really comforting to me. So even though I have all this space here, I often go to the other side, which has little dots on it. So I can write more lists, I can draw diagrams, and it gives me the chance to do a lot of brain dumping.
Yeah, great. That's great. And so do you use that to track your schedule as well? So if you've got classes coming up, or book clubs, or, you know, the commitments that you've got, you jot those down in your schedule side?
Well, what it has is there's the time across the right. So as I put my critical task there, if there's a time assigned to it, like a class that I'm moderating or something like that, I can put that down. I can also transfer like numbers and things that I need to access it. Whereas on the monthly schedule, I can just put the monthly things that I know what's happening there. In the city I live in, the garbage day is on a rotation. So it's always a different day, and it can be a real struggle to remember that. So I can transfer that in by the month and then put that in on the day. The other really good thing I like.
Council does that, rotates the rubbish day. Oh my goodness.
It's saving somebody money, causing a lot of anxiety.
Oh my word.
The other thing I really like about this one is that it has a reflection at the end of the week.
Right.
And it's generally set up on a Sunday, but I tend to find that my weekends are really busy. So it goes from Sunday to Monday. And the good thing about this is because the opposite page is blank, that's where I put my goals for the next week.
Oh, well
and then I
done.
can go through that. And
Yeah.
that's just something that I've started doing with our work in this group, so that I actually have these actionable goals, and then I can break it down by the day and into what's going to work for me. I just like the space this gives me. I did take the cover from the other one and cut it down, and I bought the punch so I could punch things.
So Vicki,
I
what
did put
size
this
is that?
in
Like
too.
if somebody was looking for that online at Amazon, what
I think
size is
that's
that?
A5.
You know, and I think you found a link for it when we were chatting yesterday. So what we might do is just get you to pop that in the group. If anybody wanted to go and have a look, it was from the US Amazon. Yeah, great.
Yeah, I think that's an A5. I need lots of space. I didn't want something little. I don't carry it with me.
Okay, I was just going to
use
ask you
it.
if you carry that daily with you. No?
No, I'm a
I feel you
homebody.
because I
Most
know
of the
what
time I'm
that's like.
home. I don't go places where I need this with me. If there's something that I need to put, like a grocery list or something that is rotational, I just add that on my phone, and I do that on a daily note in my phone, and that gives me everything that I need. I use this in the morning, and I use it late at night to migrate those tasks. And honestly, now I look forward to it. It's something that I find a lot of fun, and it really gives me a lot of excitement to know that I have a place where it's going.
Fantastic.
And that makes me super happy.
Vicki, I know that you work across a number of other journals, but before we go to those, because I'm keen to understand your system, and this is another question without notice. I love that you look at me and like deer in the headlights. She's like, what is she going to ask me now? I'm really keen to understand what else you track or keep note of in your planner. So do you keep track of, for example, like books you want to read, or I know that we often chat about, you know, what's everybody watching on streaming, or, you know, all of that stuff. Do you keep a track, or do you keep those lists in your planner as well? And if you do, I'd love to know what lists you keep.
Sure. I actually, at the front, I was saying that I did pick this up at Staples as well. And these are just little tags so that I can put tags in through for each month, because those dividers aren't provided in this particular journal. So I stick those on, and I have my book club, because I belong to a couple of different book clubs. So I have that at the front of the planner. So each month, I've got the yearly list of the books that I'm responsible for and where they are, because the local one, I go to different people's houses. And
as a moderator of a book club with Vicki, I'm so thankful she does that. So many times I ask her questions.
It's just nice to have a place for it. And I do have a separate journal for my book club with my notes and things like that as well. But I like to have that list, at least in this planner, because I'm always forgetting what it can be. It's just a struggle with my brain and how it works.
And it's fair to say the book club that Vicki and I moderate together, we're kind of 2.5 years in. So we've read a lot of books, and we concentrate on art books. Many of you are members of that book club. And so it's kind of like, have we read this book, or did we look at this book before, and have we discounted it? Why did we discount it? So I rely on Vicki to track all of that stuff. So you can imagine it's a big job, and I'm thankful that you do keep a track of that, Vicki.
Thanks. It's handy to have it in one place so that I know where I can look and actually find it. The other thing before I go on, I just wanted to say is I keep it on beside my bed, and if it goes somewhere else, it's gone. Like I find a real struggle to keep track of these things, so I need to know that that's where it is. The other thing I have are some food plan ideas, but I do have that in a different journal. And then I also keep track of just art that I'm really keen to explore. And when those ideas come up in the morning or at night, I can put them in there. So because I don't want to be having to find another journal first thing in the morning or late at night. And then there's also a long-term goals list that I've started. It came with the package, and I didn't even look at it. I just filed it away with the extra sheets. And since we've been working on it in this group, I've started to put down certain
Fantastic.
goals,
Love
and
it.
that's been exciting.
That's so good, Vicki. So I'm keen to understand your other journals. Get them out. I know they're beside you. I'm really keen to hear what they are and what you do with them.
Okay, well, in our art group, our book club, we did the artist journal, and that I've always journaled, and the artist's way, I should say. The title of the book was The Artist's Way, and in it they talk about doing morning pages. And so I have a morning pages journal that's just one of these exercise books, and I fill that in 3 pages every morning. And then and that's part of my daily routine. After I've done that, that's when I go to my my planner and start to plan my day. The other thing I have that's number 2 in my planning book is this. It's called Clever Fox. It's a series that's available on Amazon, and it is a food journal. So one of the things that I needed a lot of space in my day planner was to keep track of my food. Because of my health situation, I need to have 3 meals and snacks, and it all has to be listed. So this particular planner has a real lot of space for that. And I can take the week to list what I want to have, like what's in my fridge, what groceries I might need, that kind of thing.
And hold that up, Vicki, that seems much more portable. Like if you needed to take that to an appointment with you, it seems much more portable. Yeah, well done. That's good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And this Clever Fox series, they do a lot of different things, and it comes with stickers, and there's a lot of goal setting and like exercise plans, calendars, all that kind of stuff, which I don't tend to use, but I have found this part of it really, really helpful for me.
Yeah, that's great. I know a lot of people do track their meals, so it's good to, you know, if people are looking for something extra or space to go along with something, you know, that's well done. Great. And I know that there's something else. Yes.
There's a few other things. I also have a 5-year Hobonichi. So I started that this year. So I have been writing in this on every day. And I actually do have some pictures that I'm going to be putting in that as well. So that's the 5-year Hobonichi. It's the same A5 size.
Yes, A5.
I believe it's called. A5. And then I have an A6 Hobonichi that is also really a lovely, it's actually 6 months. And what I've been doing is I'm using this as my accountability art book. So every day at the end of the day, when I'm going through my planner, I also write down what art I did that day, because I'm struggling to get at my art. And this way, it's encouraging me to shift that up to the top of the pile.
Fantastic.
Art before dishes, and it's not easy.
Did you say art before dishes? I think we need t-shirt.
That's right.
Art before dishes. Love it.
That's the Sarah O'Malley, and I just love her. This is the Organized Artist Hobonichi. So this is all the notes and things that I'm learning in here, and paperwork goes in this one. And then I've got another art journal that I've been trying to organize to plan for the year, because you've got me trying to set up a schedule. And even though I don't have access to that through my Instagram just yet, I still want to be organized with that. So I like to write. I like to spread it out.
And you are a writer. You know, those of us who do like watching the ink on a page, which is me also, you know, I look at my stack sometimes and go, oh, seriously? You know, as it's piled high on the table next to where I sit in the lounge room. But I am like, I use them all. And so I need to have them all there. And it's kind of like, I don't feel so bad actually looking at you, Vicki. I've got 3 and they're fairly thick. So I really appreciate you sharing with us. Like, it's so good to see somebody who's found a system, realized that what they were doing initially didn't work for them, tried something else that drove them nuts when the pages kept falling out. And I do remember hearing something at you about that, and then trying something else until you found something that works. And that was the whole purpose of today, is like, one size does not fit everybody. And Vicki has also then realized that she needs to keep her food separate. so that she can take that with her when she goes, or take it down to the kitchen, or, you know, like she has, and then her different books for different projects. So full kudos to you, Vicki. I'm really proud the way that you have embraced planning, and actually the calmness it's brought to you, the overwhelm it's taken away from you, and the stress, to be honest, right? And it just means if you can't get to do something on one day, you know exactly what you had planned that day, and you can just slot those tasks into the next, or let's be honest, scrub the day out at the top and put the next day, so you don't have to migrate them. So well done you. And for all of you that are playing along at home with your planners, you know, make it work, change your system. If something doesn't work, change it, start again, grab a notebook, just whatever you need to do to keep a track of whatever it is you're keeping a track of, just do it. As a serial writer, you know, and I'm doing a lot of learning myself. I'm investing in my learning this year as well. You know, I've got a notebook for that also. I like to keep my notes separate, but you'll figure out what works for you. So Vicki, thank you so much for being our first hot seat interview today for our first month in January. I look forward to February. I have somebody in mind, and she has agreed, but I've got to remind her, so we will see. I'm going to put you back in the gallery so that you don't feel like you are deer in the headlights. And I actually am going to open up the gallery. Just give me one moment. There we go. So I've opened up the gallery. We're going to go to Q&A now. I gave us 30 minutes for this interview. We're done in 24. So we've got, you know, a good half hour, 35 minutes for questions and answers. And it can be on absolutely anything at all. Anything that you're struggling with, launches, emails, templates, anything we've covered in here. Please don't hesitate to put up your hand, even if it's just, you know, in the video, pop your hand up. I am still going to record this session, so if you're happy to stay on camera, that would be great. Otherwise, feel free to turn your cameras off or blur your background, whatever works for you. But let's go. Who's got any questions? Danny, can I answer your question that you asked early before about how do you keep track of everybody's art sales? There seems to be an awful lot of them at the moment. So I write them.
I think what's going on with me though, Ali, is I'm not seeing all of them in my Instagram feed. I miss.
Okay. And you know what? You're not the only person to say that. And I've actually, my scheduled post, I bumped tomorrow, and I've put a new post in the schedule for tomorrow. And that is around, remember, you can change to following. So make sure you change your Instagram. So click on the Instagram logo top left and change it to following, because there is a lot of people saying that they are not seeing their posts. So on the page there where you've got Instagram, can you see that? We've got Instagram at the top. If you click that and then put it to following. All right, it's going to show you the posts and the stories of the people that you're following. There must have been an update, and Instagram must have just nudged that off everybody else's, because mine was the same. I was getting a lot of those suggested for you posts, which annoys me, because they literally are advertising, you know, or sponsored posts. But I want to see what everybody's doing. So if you change that, then you can see what everybody's posting. And then I just go and jot in the day who's doing what. So, you know, Maya's email, I was sharing that earlier in the week, encouraging people to get on her email list. So she was doing a pre-launch to her email list. When I was speaking to her last night, that's gone phenomenally well. I think she's only got 3 pieces left to go into general sale. So she's done, which is so wonderful. I'm so excited for her. So I just jot them down in the days and keep a track of them. I see Carolyn Lewis has got one coming up, but I'm going to put a post here too. I want to make sure in this group, we all know when each other has a launch. So just go, so I'll put a post coming up now for February. So if you've got a launch on February, pop it down there and what it is. But please, when you do that, please make sure it's easy for people to share your information. So what I mean by that is post on your Instagram page what I'm going to call a hero shot, marketing speak, but it's the shot you want people to share for you with your information so that it makes sense about what it is, where they go to purchase, make that clear, because what that will mean is if it's, for example, in your Etsy store and I can see that it's clear, I'll actually go to your Etsy store, get the link, and when I share your post, I'll add that link to my story. So if you make it easy for people to share, then they will put as much information on as they can, and you'll see people going directly. So rather than that person going to your page, then find your link and then going to your Etsy store, I've given them the link right there because I knew that's where you were selling them. All right. So as much information on that post as possible, or as much information in the comment as possible, and you'll get the best results. So I'm going to put that up, the for sales post for February, and also February goals. Like it's the 28th in Australia. I know most of you are sitting on the 27th. We are February next week, friends. February, isn't that just insane? How did that happen? You know, we'll be doing a goal check-in for those goal sheets we set in January. And then we'll be resetting those again for February. Okay, Chris Hume.
Yes.
Hello.
Oh, okay. I'm off mute. Yeah. So I had a question. When you set your Instagram to following,
Yes.
do you see anybody else ever? Like, because if you're not seeing anybody new, how are you going to see something new that you want to follow?
Look, you can change it back at any time. How do you see anybody new that you want to follow? That's a really interesting question. I follow people in my niche. Like, I kind of don't follow randoms that come across my feed, if that makes sense. So I will be quite specific about who I'm following. So I'll go into those niche hashtags that I'm using. Insider Studio is a great one. So go in there and make sure you're following those people, because then you're going to see their posts as well. And chances are they will come back and follow you, right? I'll go into, you know, some of the other class hashtags that you're using and do the same. You can switch it back, Chris. It's just, I don't know, like I spend an hour a day on Instagram. And because I schedule my posts, I spend that time networking, commenting, replying to DMs and to my comments. So I'm happy, to be honest. I'm happy to get out of that noise and traffic. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, yeah, that's fair.
You'll find what
and
works
if you
for
want
you.
if you want other people to find you, the hashtags are probably
And that's the
what's gonna
beauty of hashtags this year. I've actually changed to, how many am I using on the organized artist now? I think 5. I've actually changed, and I am only using, let me have a look here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is all I'm using now, and they're 5 I've never used before. So we'll see how that's going. To give you some idea, I've picked up 49 new followers on that page this week.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
and that has been a little bit to do with comments in the Insider Studio as well. But there's a fair few people that have found me that I have no idea how they've found me, other than it's got to be through hashtags. Yeah.
Wow.
And you guys sharing, right? You guys sharing has a lot to do with that also, which is the beauty in sharing each other's work and pages, is that this sounds terrible, but it cross-contaminates your audience. That sounds terrible, doesn't it? But what it does is it exposes your audience to other people. Yeah. Excellent. Does that answer your question, Chris?
Yep, that's good.
Yep, just play. Christy, hi.
Hi there. Do I have my, can you hear,
Yes.
you can hear me?
Yeah, we can hear
I
you
was going to
fine.
say the part where you have that following, you can also star that when it pulls down, it'll say favorites.
Yes.
And the other thing is there's a bell that is up near your name. I want to go to my page here or somebody's page. And when you hit that bell, it'll bring down this menu that says like, excuse me, posts, stories, reels, and you can go to the next page on that and says, get all notifications on it. So you can get, you can really tag it to bring you the notifications, and they'll even come down like on your, you know, whatever it is, the notifications that pop down on you. I don't know if you already brought that up, so I just thought
Yeah,
I'd
no,
mention it.
that's a really good point. You can do that. You can, you know, make sure that you're not missing out on people that you want to make sure that you're following, Chris. That is a great point, Christy. Yeah, have a look at all those notifications. I have to say, word of warning, serial story posters, you might want to turn off when they post stories, because you'll see it at the top. There's some people I follow who every time they post a story, my phone dings and I'm like, oh, I must remember to go and just turn off the story notification, because my phone goes all day and all night. So I have to put it on sleep and silent. But yeah, you can do that. Yeah. Great. Christy, was that your question?
Yeah, I just was adding on.
Yeah,
So,
thank you. Thank you.
and thank you for the suggestion to get off of it.
Yeah, no, good. Hi, Alex.
Also, oops, am I unmuted? Yeah. Now, also getting back to the setting it to following. I don't know if they recently changed it or not, but in the past it would switch back if you leave the app. So it's something that you have to put in every time you enter the app anyway.
Yes, and
So
that's actually a really
wasn't
good point.
in the past.
Yeah, or you update your app, or the app gets updated, then you need to go and just do it again. It doesn't stay for, like, I notice when mine changes and I'm like, oh, I must go do that again. Yeah, and that does happen quite regularly.
But the following, just because you go to following doesn't necessarily mean you're going to see everyone's post, because it's really going to depend on how many people you follow.
Yeah.
How often they post, and then if that comes up chronological, it depends on when you're on the app, if they've recently been on the app, or if other people that you also follow that maybe don't have upcoming collection releases posted chronologically.
And also,
before
you know, it does also depend on your engagement as to what you're seeing and what you're not seeing, because to be honest, you only see about 5% of the people you're following.
Yeah, but you can look into, if you go in under followers, somewhere in the settings under followers, it will show you the accounts that are shown most to you. And that's usually the ones that you engage with the most. So
yeah,
like the organized this definitely comes up for me. And I have seen Maya's collection release posts.
Fantastic. Johnny, I'll come to you in 1 second. Just before we leave Instagram, I just want to also say to you, be really careful at the moment. There is a lot of scams out there. An awful lot. In fact, I was working with an artist during this week who it actually looked legitimate until I said, so the messages backwards and forwards, and you know, I'll pay by Vimo and all of this sort of thing, until I said, look at her account. When we looked at her account, she had 0 posts. She had like 2 followers, and she was following like 4,000 odd people. So she had a regular name, photo. It was really interesting. But I am just so.
But how did it end? How did it end? How did you know? Because I literally have a lot of people that bought from me that have no posts and follow people but don't have followers.
Yeah. How did we know? How did it end? Okay. How did it end? It ended when we decided it was definitely a scam, and she deleted it and blocked, right? So it didn't actually, she didn't end up communicating with that person any longer. What actually happened was somebody else. So the initial opening, I really love this piece of art. It was, you know, like, my words aren't going to be right, but it was something along the lines of, I really love this piece of art. Is it for sale? If so, let me know how much and how I can purchase it, right? She then got that exact same message, those exact same words from somebody else.
Oh, okay, well then, yeah.
And different piece of art, not the same piece of, it might have been, don't know. But it was the fact that it was the exact, she's like, hang on, wait, you know, wait, what? And then she reached out to me and said, and she sent me the screenshots of all of her messages, And the messages backwards and forwards were, you know, where are you located? I'm here, so we'd need to do and it was like the whole conversation, and to the point where thankfully she'd not given her anything personal, as in, you know, like no details, no bank account, no PayPal details, or however she was paying. She'd not given her any details, but it was definitely a scam. Yeah. So just be careful. Never give anybody any personal information. Never.
Yeah, but if she's selling, wouldn't the other person have given her the personal
And
information?
that's what I said to her is, you know, like we could play along for a little bit if you want to, as in, let's send her an invoice and see what happens, right?
Mhm.
You know, because you're not going to release your piece of art until you've got payment for it.
Yeah.
You know, and potentially, you know, I like to push the envelope on these things. I'm a bit of a, as in Australia we say smart ass, so I kind of push the envelope a little bit on these things to see how far they'll go. But obviously I'm really careful about the information that I give them. You also just, you know, I think sometimes you're better just to protect your brand reputation as well. So sometimes you're better just to, and let's face it, then you're not the only artist they're talking to, right? And they've got no clue whether you've responded, or if you just delete the conversation and block them, then they can't see that anymore either. Yeah. So it was interesting, but I do know, in fact, Emily was telling me, that's my daughter was telling me yesterday, and I didn't see the news article, but there was something on Instagram on our News in Australia yesterday about the number of scammers that are around at the moment, hacking and scanning, hacking and cloning accounts, which we've all seen in this, you know, we've all seen that going on of late. But that's such a good thing about being in a community like ours, where not only are we looking after our own accounts, but we're actually looking after all of those friends. If we see something that doesn't look right, we point that out. So, so that's good. Christy. No, you still got your hand up from before? No. Johnny, you had a question. Yes.
Yeah, I missed where you were supposed to change how you follow.
How you follow? Yeah.
When you were saying you had to change it, I would be paying attention evidently because I can't find it.
So if you are on your profile page that looks like this, right? So just your normal profile page.
Right.
And you click the little house button, which is bottom left, and you go to the page where your feed is. So you can see there. See, and it's got the Instagram logo at the top. Can you see that?
Yes.
Yeah. If you tap the Instagram logo, it comes up with following or favorites. Can you see that?
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So you can tap following there, and it will bring up the posts of the people that you're following.
Thank you.
Yeah. Don't you love Inspired to Write's post? Do you guys follow her where she writes on the pages? She makes me laugh. I think she's in New Zealand. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think she is. Vicki, you have a question?
Actually, I just wanted to reiterate something you had said, because I was going through some pictures in my album, and I came across a picture of my Instagram account, and I was looking at it going, why do I take a picture of that? And then I remembered, because I saw something I didn't recognize underneath it, that when you suggested that we look our names up, just look up our names on Instagram, it was shocking to me that suddenly I realized someone had cloned my account, and I never thought that would happen to me. So just, it was a reminder. It happened this morning, and it's like, okay, look yourself up and see if there's somebody out there cloning your account. And then Ali, you walked me through how to.
And you know what? That's a great idea. I'm just going to jot that down, because you know, what a great habit to do on the 1st of every month. Just go in and check. Just search your name. Just go in and search your name every month. I might just pop that in my post schedule rotations for the 1st of the month. That's a good idea.
Also, when I was sick, I wasn't able to go onto my Instagram as much as I wanted, and I had not been deleting the people, my followers that were the, you know, not really the medical professionals they profess to be. And
Sadly.
I had to stop myself from just deleting them all because I remembered you saying that if you do too many at once, you could get bounced off. So I limited myself to 25, but having that as a weekly or every other day thing is something I need to be reminded as well.
Yeah.
Thanks. Thanks, Sally.
Yeah, and I do that every time I get a new follower. I just go and see who they are. Why are they following, why are they following me? And it's interesting. After actually talking with Alex, I'm possibly not so brutal as I was about some of the comments that go on my post, as in, share this pic with Australia Magazine or whatever. I just give them a smiley face or a thank you now and don't delete them because they're a comment. It counts as engagement, right? Anyway, I'm just playing that game for a bit and see what happens. It's all just playing the game, friends. It's all just playing the game. Alex.
How do you know if your account is cloned? Because, if I Google my name, there's like a bunch of people with my name, but they also have, Alexandra.Matthias, but it's a person with a child on their arm and it's a private account.
So Vicky's had a
how do you
photo
know?
of Vicky. Vicky's actually had
Like,
a
for
photo
example,
of
this
her.
person, Alexandra Matthias, like, I don't think they cloning me, even though they use.
No, I
my
would look at their
No,
account. if
mine
it's open
had
and
my
see.
picture. It
Yeah.
was my
Oh, okay,
photograph.
okay.
It looked exactly like
Yeah.
my Instagram account.
It was exactly
So
Vicky's
that's how I
Instagram.
knew.
Yeah,
And I know
Okay.
for other people, they've used an old photograph. So
yeah,
that's how we knew.
yeah. But they
okay.
also won't just take your profile picture. They'll also take pictures of your art.
Okay, no.
Did yours have posts?
Then I'm
I
good.
can't remember if yours had posts or not, but it was definitely your photo. Yeah,
It was my picture. It looked like everything else had been copied,
yeah.
but they had not posted anything yet. So I was
No.
just really lucky I caught it. It was good
No.
timing.
And those of you that know Elizabeth Rhodes will have seen hers also got, did she get hacked or cloned in the last couple of weeks? Can't quite remember, but same thing. And usually what happens is they spell a name slightly wrong or put an extra letter in between, or they just change it slightly. So it's still, for somebody looking quickly, could potentially be you. Yeah, that's how she picked hers up. Yeah, somebody else had that. Anita, you had your hand up.
Yeah, it was for the same question because there's a bunch of Nita Goffs, even a few with pig pictures. And I'm like, I can see people thinking that's me, but nothing with my actual pictures or art.
Yeah, and I think that the other giveaway about if they're cloning is they're also posting, like they are making out their you. So they are also posting some of your art pictures as well. And honestly, Anita, those pig snout flowers,
Oh, thanks.
we're going there, just so you know. If you've not
Thanks.
seen Anita's stories and her post of late, let's go and have a look. They are just the best. I'm just unsure whether I've talked her into a collection or not, but she's got to go there.
Yeah, we'll see. Thank you.
Does anybody else have any more questions?
No, if you look at in case you hashtag your photos with your name, which I do.
Yeah.
I use the hashtag Alexandra Matthias art or _art. Now I found a post of someone being inspired by my collages and not tagging me per se, because, it's not a direct copy. I mean, I guess it's free to do, but they use me in the hashtags. So that's interesting.
That's interesting that they used your hashtag, but they
so they did use Alexandra Matthias _art hashtag.
That's interesting. You'd think that they would tag you rather than use your
yeah.
hashtag.
The thing is, I'm looking, the person follows me, so maybe they don't know how to tag.
And the other thing too is, Instagram etiquette.
It's also a very small account, so I'm not worried she got 5 likes. Not like there's going to be a ton of people going like, oh, I'm going to buy that instead of the real deal, but oh well.
Yeah.
But
at least they gave you a hashtag. Are they selling? Interestingly, are they selling? Because if you're using that hashtag and they are.
No, they're not.
No.
But there's another lady who followed me with her other account. And then on her private other account, all of a sudden there's like tiny house collages coming up, and she used the hashtag that only I use. And so that's how I
Oh.
even found it. And when I texted her, I'm like, could you at least use a different hashtag?
Yeah.
She's like, oh no, I'm an interior decorator and it's all legit. And I'm like, okay, blah, blah. So now she's blocked, but I follow her on a private account. So I'm still seeing that she's
Yeah.
still on that train, posting the hearts, posting the
Yeah.
houses. But
Yeah.
again, she has a very small following, so I don't care.
And also, you know, if that becomes a thing here, remember, rely on the community of people in here as well. So if you've blocked somebody because they are doing something inappropriate, copying your art, not tagging you or whatever, you know, give one of us the heads up so we can go follow and keep an eye on what they're doing if they block you.
Again, she's like on the other side of the country, and like her post, she doesn't have a big following, so I don't know if she sells it at all. But it's interesting how some people think, like, you know, they follow an artist with like a separate account and then post to another one whatever they are inspired by.
Yeah, it all just seems a little underhanded in my opinion.
Especially for someone, you know, who's in the creative business.
Yeah, we should all be protecting and looking after each other is kind of the, you know, and I'm a stalker. I'll go stalk anybody for anybody. So, you know, I don't mind in the slightest. I love that.
The watchdogs.
Yeah, that's it. Danny.
Just checking in with setting up a email funnel to get your emails. For some reason, I'm all there to do it, but I'm stalling. And I was wondering if other people felt the same way.
Are you progressed to researching, Danny?
I am. And the thing is, I think it's because it's a commitment and it's a long-term commitment. And it's, you know, for me, I know that I'm going to have to do an email a week and maybe a blog a month. And it's like, oh God. And I just wondered if anybody else was feeling the same way. Okay, good. So I'm not the only one. So is it an initial fee of starting?
It's a commitment, Danny. It's a commitment, but the rewards pay off. For showing up, the rewards pay off. So you got to do it. Can we just backtrack to that question? The question around the email. Was it a question about which email to use, or was it just around the email newsletter and the email, just getting that all started?
There's also, well, for me, it'll be an email to collect potential art buyers.
Yeah.
But then also an email in the end to connect for art students, art client students. And would it have to be separate as two separate entities, or would it just be one?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. And it's actually a dilemma I am facing currently, Danny, because the organized art, I have my newsletter and I have, it's humming along beautifully. Alison Lake Art, I've never had a newsletter for. I've never collected email addresses for. So I'm like, I was just, yeah. How do I answer your question? I think this is, so I've been thinking about having them all as one and tagging them and segmenting them. And then I'm like, but then I've got like 2 lots of templated. I actually think I'm going to do them separately.
But would it be then beneficial to find an all-in-one platform for hosting it? So it's like an all-in-one Spear website, isn't it? They then maybe not be the same thing, but they kind of all-in-one website. Like I know artists that teach courses, and when you go onto their website, you can link to their courses, to their membership, and to their art. So that is where I want to get to.
Yeah, so you can link to them, that's no trouble, but it's more the email distribution, right? So emailing 2 separate subscriptions, essentially, right? It literally, like, I could do it all from one with segments and tags. The problem is, well, no, not the problem. The challenge for me in the organized artist is I already have 5 tags, 3 segments, and every time I've got a templated newsletter that I basically just duplicate and update. Look, it actually wouldn't be too hard to do on the same one.
Okay.
But do I want to do a second? Yeah. Look, Danny, I'm in the same boat as you guys, to be honest.
I think for
with
me
your
it's
artist page.
planning so that I can come up with a plan from the beginning, because I
You do.
want the experience for my customers to be like a fun, simple, easy look forward to, not confusing. So I don't want to chop and change.
No, but also, Danny, for you, it's going to be about what's easiest to manage. So you almost need to go, this is the outcome. How do I get this outcome, which is essentially, courses on one and art sales on the other. And you can literally just do that. And look, to be perfectly honest, if you had 2 different styles of newsletters and you just worked it from the same subscription list, you could easily do it. And then you've got all of your subscribers in one place. You've just got to make sure in your art sales, and this is what I need to do as well, that I set up my segments and my tags so that people subscribe to Alison Lake Art, they're not getting the organized artist if they've not subscribed to it.
Well,
It's just about making sure you set it up correct.
Legally, I would get in trouble for doing that in the UK.
Yes, you would. Yes, you would. You would be breaking the spam laws.
Yeah.
Which are particularly strong in the UK, and even stronger in Australia. And I believe California actually too has really strong spam laws. Yeah. How do I know this? Because I've just been doing all my legals all week. Know these things. Alex, sorry, Danny, does that answer your question? Yes, good. Yeah. And those of you, actually, let me just touch on that before we move, on to Alex. So those of you that do multiple things, where you potentially have multiple email lists, that is how you would manage it, is segmenting and tagging, or having a completely separate email list. But for ease of, also actually for income reporting, it's nice for it all to be in one place, because it's actually good for income reporting and tax reporting. That's the other thing, Danny. Alex.
No, I want to refer back to what Danielle said about the whole getting started with the email list. I do have subscribers, apparently. I recently realized on my Squarespace, there's subscribers, but I've never sent out an email, and I've had the website since 2017 or 18. And I said to my husband, I'm like, oh, I don't know what to write. I'm not a writer. I don't want to write anything. And he had a good idea. He's like, well, who says you have to write anything? You could literally just post a photo and write, this is what happened on my Instagram this week.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or anything. Or even he said you could film yourself and send a little video and be like, hello.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, absolutely, you could. And your art club, you could get them on a separate tag or segment and email them too, the pieces that you're working on, do a little video, send it out. That's such a great way to engage with them, because remember, people engage in different ways. So
it's on my list now for February is to work
my
on
engagement on my Instagram pages. So the people that go in and do take action on the links on my Instagram pages goes through the roof the day after I send a newsletter, and then it goes quiet again. And then the next week, the day after, and so you just know. And I was watching, somebody during the week was talking about emailing her subscribers, and she's basically like, every time I want $6,000, I just email my subscribers, because they just go and take action. And it's kind of that thing, right? You just email and they will do what you tell them to do.
Okay.
I'm not quite at that point yet, friends, just so you know. Anita.
Yeah, hi. I just had an alert go up on my phone. It said new art collection being released on Instagram on my calendar, but it didn't tell me who.
Is that Maya?
But I'm assuming it's Maya, but I guess I just wanted to put it out there. It didn't tell me whose, because I'm like, well, I think there's a bunch coming out right now. So I wonder if there's a way on Instagram to designate, so when it pops into your calendar, a reminder of what account it is. Just something to look into.
And actually, I've just got the same alert too. Yeah, at 8 a.m. new art collection on Instagram at online event. That's potentially the way it's been set up as well.
Yeah.
That's a good lesson there, that if you're setting a reminder, make sure you put your name. So, you know, Anita's online launch, so
Yeah.
that when the reminders come out, people know whose it is. That's a good tip for everybody,
Great.
actually. Yeah. Yeah. And
Great.
yes, I have the same here. Yeah. So I'm conscious that a lot of you actually want to go and jump on to Maya's live launch, as do I. So do we have any other questions? No? Awesome. Well, we turn the page to February during this week. So I will be putting some accountability posts. We've got Judy here who is helping me with accountability. And when she's feeling better and up to it, she will be taking more of a role in the accountability posts. I'm really keen to explore if you guys would like accountability partners. So have a think about that, and think about if you had an accountability partner that was actually to touch base and hold you accountable during the month for your goals and your steps, what that would look like for you. So have a think about that. I'm really keen to explore whether that's something you'd like to do. And yeah, so we turn the page to February, we draw a line under January. We will be going and reflecting on the goals we set ourselves for January. Oh, I'm not looking forward to that. And, you know, ticking off our achievements and then moving what we need to move into February so that we don't lose the momentum of it. And yes, I will also be putting an art sales post up. So if you've got a launch coming in February, make sure you put all the information on that post so that we can all share and get eyeballs on your sales. So I'm going to stop the recording now.